Hey guys, it's Areesa. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are making some adorable little chocolate Easter baskets filled with Nutella mousse and mini white chocolate eggs to go on top. So Easter is coming up right around the corner, and I wanted to do something a little bit different from typical Easter eggs, so I thought these mini chocolate baskets were the perfect Easter treat. So obviously, first things first, we're going to start by making the baskets. So for the base of the baskets, I'm going to be using this silicone mold. If you don't have one of these, you can actually just use some paper cups from the dollar store, just cut them in half. I'll leave a video down below where I use the same techniques, just using those paper cups. Then I'm going to take some melted chocolate. You can use either tempered or compound here, it's up to you. And we're going to go ahead and fill up our mold. Then just shake them around and use a spoon to make sure that they are nice and evenly coated. And we're going to go ahead and shake out all of that excess chocolate onto some parchment paper. Then I'm going to let it sit on the counter upside down to start to set up, because we're actually going to add a second layer of chocolate to this, and you're going to see why a little bit later. We just need a thicker coat of chocolate. I'm going to go ahead and reuse all of that chocolate that I spilled out and add a little bit more if you need to, and we're just going to repeat the process one more time. And then once we've got the second coat nice and evenly in there, I'm going to put that upside down in the freezer to set up just for a few minutes, and then gently pop them out of the mold. And now obviously they need a little bit of help looking nice and smooth and perfect. So just like with hot chocolate bombs, I'm taking the back of a baking pan and a torch just to heat it up, and we're going to smooth out that top edge. And if you don't have a torch, I'm actually going to show you a second technique a little bit later on in the video, so don't worry. And we have cute little chocolate cups that are going to be the bottom of our basket. Okay, so now that the bottom of the basket is done, obviously it needs a little handle, so we're gonna do that next. So I'm just using a empty paper towel roll here because it happened to be the exact size as the top of my basket. And I'm just gonna roll some parchment paper around that and secure it with some tape. Okay, so for the next step, we're gonna use a parchment cone, and I've used these many times, but I've gotten some comments saying that people don't understand how to actually make one. So I'm gonna slow it down and show you exactly how to make a parchment cone. It's really easy. So you're just gonna take a piece of parchment paper and cut that into a square. Then take that square and cut it in half diagonally so you end up with two triangles. Now that long end on the triangle is actually going to be where the tip of your cone is, and then you're just gonna roll it around itself until it becomes a cone. You can pull up on those two corner pieces at the back to make it nice and tight and come into a sharp point. Then just tuck in those edges, and voila, we have a beautiful parchment cone. I told you it was super simple. I hope this clears things up. Okay, now carrying on with our handles, I'm going to secure that paper towel roll to a plate so it doesn't move around everywhere. Just go back and forth a few times so that you can build up some of that chocolate and it becomes a little bit more sturdy. And you can see that beautiful texture that looks pretty similar to a basket handle. Okay, next up we're gonna make a super simple and easy chocolate hazelnut mousse, and we're gonna cheat and make it super simple by using some Nutella, because who doesn't love Nutella, right? So I'm starting by chopping up my dark chocolate. I only need about 1.5 ounces. And then I'm gonna go in with 2 ounces of Nutella. And then 1.5 ounces of whipping cream that I brought up to a simmer on the stove, just like I would for a chocolate ganache. And you're gonna pour that over your chopped chocolate and Nutella and let it sit for a second so it can start to melt. And then just go ahead and stir it all together. Look at that gorgeous, shiny hazelnut ganache. We're gonna let that sit on the counter for about 20 minutes or so it can come back down to room temperature. In the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and whip up some cream. I've mentioned this before, always use a nice cold bowl when you're whipping cream. I use 4.5 ounces of cream here and just whip that up until it's nice and fluffy. And then we're gonna go ahead and fold that into our ganache a third at a time. Now, this is very similar to my quick 2-ingredient chocolate mousse recipe. So if you're not a hazelnut fan and you prefer just a plain simple mousse, I'll leave that video in the description below. Look at that, so delicious. And then I'm gonna put that into a piping bag, of course fitted with a 1M tip, my favorite piping tip. Okay, so now the last thing we need to do before we put it all together is make some mini white chocolate eggs to go on top. Of course, you could totally just use mini eggs that you can buy at the grocery store, but I think it's fun to make them yourself. So I've got my mini egg mold here, and I'm gonna take some white chocolate because I do not like the taste of candy melts. I've talked about this before. So I'm taking my white chocolate and adding a little bit of gel food coloring to it. And once that is nice and smooth, I'm gonna go ahead and pour that into my mold. And because this is so tiny, I'm just gonna kind of pour it in there, and then we're gonna scrape it into the individual little spots. Then put that in the freezer for a few minutes to firm up, and then you can go ahead and pop them out. And I'm just gonna repeat that with 2 more colors. I'm gonna go with a pastel-y pink, and then we're gonna do it again with a yellow color. Now we need to glue those halves together to turn it into a whole mini egg, and I'm not gonna lie, this part was a little bit time consuming and definitely tested my patience. But as promised, here's the other way to heat up that baking pan. Just pour some hot water into a dish, and it'll keep the surface of that pan nice and warm so you can melt down the halves and put them together. Okay, so all of the elements are ready to go. It is time for my favorite part. Let's put it all together. So I'm gonna start by piping my mousse into my little chocolate cups. And you can see I'm just starting in the center and going all the way around to finish off the tops. Then I'm gonna take my little mini eggs and just arrange them on top. And finally, we're gonna heat up the pan one more time so that we can attach the basket handles. And this is why we wanted that thicker chocolate base. It just gives us more surface area to glue those handles on top. And isn't that so cute, you guys? These are adorable little baskets, perfect for Easter. So there we have our adorable little chocolate Easter baskets. I hope you guys like them, and I hope you make them at home with your families. Before we go, I wanted to quickly say I know I do not post super consistently on this channel. I honestly have been trying my best to try and be consistent and get content out to you guys as often as possible, but just bear with me, I'm doing the best I can. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for today's video. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or what you want to see next, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.